all right. We are here. Let me make sure my screen is nice. Get that. Looks like a screen got a little crazy on me. There we go. All right. Here we are. Here we are. How's everybody doing tonight? It is Sunday. It is time for another heat check. Let me just crank up my mic just a little bit so y'all can hear me. Boop, boop, boop. All right, let's see. Yo, yo, yo. All right, coming in good, coming in loud and clear. All right, it's time for another heat check. Ladies and gentlemen, man, I am so excited. I've had a great week. Knocked down another interview for the producer podcast. Guys, if you haven't checked it out, make sure you look. Made in the Studio podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever you look at podcasts, you're going to find the podcast. And I am super excited. Got more interviews coming up. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for coming to the Heat Check Live Beat Review. Who am I? I'm Desmond A. I'm a music producer. I've been producing music for over 10 years now, and I'm also a podcast host now, interviewing some of the hottest producers, engineers, songwriters in the game. Have produced music on different platforms such as Bravo, E! Television, Sci-Fi Channel, and a ton of wonderful local recording artists. So that's what qualifies me to take a listen to these beats and go ahead and give my feedback. So first thing I'd like to do is go ahead and give a shout out to the chat. It looks like we got Lil Pete in the chat already in the house. So the format of the heat check, if this is your first time checking it out, how it works is you go ahead and send in your beat. So free submissions are closed. I've just launched VIP submissions. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, we now have VIP skip the line submissions. So if you didn't submit before 12 Eastern Standard Time, that's the close time of the free submissions. You can still purchase for $10 a VIP skip the line option. And of course, if you've already submitted for free, you want to skip the line, go ahead and purchase the VIP skip the line. All the information you need on that is in the description. Also, how the show works is I go ahead and play about a minute and a half of your beat. Go ahead and give my feedback. And just to give you some ground rules, here at the Heat Check, we don't do any roasting. We don't do any snapping. We're just here to give constructive feedback. So what does that mean? You know, if somebody submits a beat, something going on in it, let them know, hey, the melody is not quite right, or the bass is clashing, or maybe you should try some better drums. This is a place I got my drums from. So we're here to give actionable steps. Still direct. Still, we're gonna give it to you direct, but we're not just gonna say that's whack, that's terrible, nothing like that. We need to have actionable steps so the person can improve their beats and grow as a music producer. And that's the whole process of the heat check. That's how we go ahead and set it up. Also, if you want to do your free submissions will open as soon as this live stream closes. That's when the free submissions open, and you can go ahead and submit your beats for next Sunday's show. And of course, like I mentioned, we now have VIP skip the line passes. So at any time, if you want to purchase that, skip to top of the line, get your beats played, get your feedback, and get on with your day if that's your thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get started with the heat check. We have quite a full house tonight, quite a few beats here. Let me get my setup going here. All right. So let's go ahead and get into FL Studio so we can take a listen to the beats. Okay. So starting, we have our first producer in the building tonight. That is DMG. It looks like DMG has submitted 2 beats for the show tonight. So we're going to go ahead and listen to DMG's beats. Go ahead and give our feedback, give my feedback. Of course, you can give your feedback in the chat as well. So I'm going to go ahead and mute my line, mute my mic, and then we're going to go ahead and take a listen. So let's take a listen together, family. All right, here we go. Hi, ladies and gentlemen, that was the first producer of the day. That was DMG with their first submission, Funky. Now, DMG, I could tell by your production that it sounds like you were kind of going for a K Tronada kind of sound, kind of that, I want to say somewhat disco vibe that K Tronada has in his productions. Um, this should still stay open. All right. So kind of getting those K Tronada vibes when I listen to your production. It, it I see what you're aiming for, but I was hearing a little bit too much dissonance in the beginning of the production. It kind of sounded like certain things were clashing. It just wasn't quite, the music wasn't quite fitting together. Like the drums and the bass didn't quite have enough separation for me to really feel what was going on. It just didn't have the impact that I could tell that you were going for. So what I want you to do is to listen to producers like K Tronada and similar producers, listen to their sound selection, and then put your beat together. Kind of do an A/B comparison on what they're doing, and then take what they're doing and put it into your sauce. Because right now, I can tell your sound is developing. You just need a little bit more tuning up so that way you can actually hit the bullseye on the type of sound that I can tell that you're aiming for. So let's clean up the sound selection. Make sure we're not running into any clashing or any type of dissonance music-wise, and we should be good to go. So let's move forward with your next beat. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have the same producer, DMG, with Cupcaking. So, we're going to go ahead and take a listen to this beat and go ahead and give our feedback. So, let's take a listen together. Man, that was DMG with the second submission of tonight, which was Cupcakin. Cupcakin. Okay, so Cupcakin, that beat kind of gave me, I kind of got a little bit of Khalees, Neptune's kind of vibe, like those early Khalees records that she would do with the Neptunes. That's the kind of vibes that I was getting when I was listening to that beat. One thing that stood out is that bass line was a little too overbearing. Also, when the chords came in, it didn't really add anything. It actually took away from the vibes because when I muted the mic, I was kind of singing to myself, mumbling, trying to see if I could fit on the beat as if I was a recording artist. And when that bass came in, that kind of threw off the vibe. And then when the chords came in, that threw off the vibe as well. So what I want you to do is whenever you're making your beat, don't be afraid to mumble to it. Don't be afraid to rap to it. And whenever you're listening back, you can tell when certain elements in your beat are starting to get in the way. So it can give you more of a clear path on when to mute certain things, when to pull back certain things, when to kind of fix certain things, as opposed to just kind of vibing out. Because as producers, a lot of the times we're in the studio by ourselves, just kind of vibing, cooking up, doing our own thing, just kind of getting lost in our own little world. So it can be difficult to know when to pull back a little bit. So for that particular beat, I would definitely watch that bass. It was too overbearing. And then those chords, the chord progression didn't really add anything. So you could try changing the chords, or you can just try taking it totally out. But you have a unique style. I can tell that you're aiming. I can tell the direction that you're aiming for your production style. So keep it up. Continue to listen to other producers to help you fine tune your production, and you'll be all good to go. So thank you for submitting, and make sure you continue to submit. Come back to my YouTube channel, Desmond A Sounds, and submit for the next heat check. All right, moving forward, we have Phoenix Beats. Shout out to Phoenix Beats. We have Phoenix Beats with their submission of tonight, which is Pop. So let's go ahead and listen to Pop by Phoenix Beats and take a listen. And I'm going to go ahead and give my feedback. So let's listen together.
You got this, Phoenix. You got this, Phoenix. You got this, Phoenix. You got this, Phoenix.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Phoenix Beats' first submission of tonight with Pop. Now, Phoenix, I like the energy of the beat. Again, I don't know what's going on with you guys. I am kind of getting that Pusha T kind of vibe, Clips kind of vibe whenever I listen to that particular beat. Is the Neptune sound kind of making a comeback out there in the producer world? Guys, let me know in the chat. So for that particular beat, one thing that was really standing out to me was the mix, really the balance of the instruments. That main synth sound, that was a good selection, but you kind of want to just check the balance of your main sound with your hi-hats and your 808s. Just kind of make sure that they're all in pocket. One thing you may want to try to do is listen to your beat on your phone. Just play it on your phone, listen to it, and listen and see if the sound balanced. So listen to it on your iPhone speaker. Maybe listen to another YouTube type beat producer who has a similar sound to your beat. And that can kind of give you an idea of how to balance things out. The reason I said your iPhone speaker is, sometimes whenever you're dealing with vocals and mixing full songs for recording artists, we like to check things in different environments. So iPhones, car tests, so on and so forth. So using the iPhone speaker is going to put things in, mono. It's just one speaker that's coming out. So it helps you find the balance of things a bit better. So try to do that, listen, kind of fix the balance of the sounds. One other thing that was really sticking out to me in that beat was the 808. There was a moment where the 808 went off key. So what I want you to do is pitch your 808 up one octave, maybe even another octave, just so it's clearer for your ear to hear. And then you can tell that it's off key, and you can fix that in your DAW in the piano roll. So just move it up or down, and then pull it down an octave, pull it down an octave. Because it's much easier for the human ear to hear something that sounds like a bell, like a boo, 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 than it is a boo, boo, boo with the 808. So that's a kind of a trick to help you get the 808 in key. So yes, shout out to Mexico. We got Mexico in the chat. Mexico, I got your submissions for tonight. We're gonna definitely check out your beats. Moving forward, we have another beat by Phoenix Beats. Shout out to Phoenix Beats. This one is called Trap. So this is a trap type beat. Phoenix Beats with Moon X Beats. So it looks like he has a collab on this one. So we're gonna listen to this track together and go ahead and give our feedback. So let's take a listen together, fam.
You got this, Phoenix. You got this, Phoenix. You got this, Phoenix.
And gentlemen, that was the second submission of tonight by Phoenix Beats. This was a trap type beat. It looks like there's a collaboration with him and Moon X Beats. Now, that particular beat, I like the instrumentation. I really like the instrumentation there. Great sense of melody. What totally threw me off in that beat is the loudness of the 808. It was just so overbearing. I couldn't even get into the beat. It's just too loud. But the whole time I was listening to the instrumentation and how good that was. So that tells me, I might be wrong, but that tells me, because this is something I've done before. it sounds like you may be listening to your beats in an environment where all the bass is escaping. Maybe you didn't use headphones for this one to measure and balance the bass with the rest of the beat. Sometimes if you're in like a wide open space and you have your speakers out, the bass doesn't really have an ability to trap. Like for instance, put this over here. Instance, this is not the best. It's just kind of holding me over for now. This is like a kind of a foam bass trap. Kind of helps me keep the bass in my room. But that's actually just foam. I need to get more actual panels. So go for panels if you're trying to do your bass. Kind of control your bass in your room. So it kind of sounds like it's a wide open space. The bass just totally escaped. And it was just kind of hard for you to hear what was going on to balance the 808 with the rest of the production. So in that instance, try to use headphones to help measure where the bass is with the rest of the instrumentation. So that way it doesn't get so overbearing like this particular beat was. So, for this beat, man, if I could just get for you to lower the 808, maybe even experiment with different 808 types in the beat. Maybe even I kind of had a little bit of a Nick Mira vibe to it. Not totally, kind of that Internet Money vibe. Lil Tecca kind of vibe to it. Maybe you could try that kind of Nick Mira 808 with this. That's the kind of thing I was kind of thinking of. But, just experiment, do what feels right, and it'll be good to go. Great instrumentation, though, but that bass was just overbearing, kind of hard for me to vibe out to. So, moving forward, we have, ladies and gentlemen, we have Mexico, produced by Mexico in the building. He is right now in the chat, as a matter of fact. So we're going to go ahead and take a listen to this beat. It's called Narcos. We're going to listen. Then we're going to go ahead and give our feedback. So let's go ahead and take a listen. This is Narcos produced by Mexico. So let's take a listen. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Narcos produced by Mexico. Shout out to Produced by Mexico in the chat as we speak. Now, that beat had definitely has some potential. First of all, I like that hi-hat and the snare, great choice. But one thing that was taken away from it was the piano. So we have that piano melody going. One, I feel like I want you to try to experiment with a different piano patch. I don't know if you maybe have Keyscape or just something with a bit more that doesn't have such a stock vibe to it. That piano just kind of felt a little too stock. The drums felt good. The drums felt good, but the piano just felt a little too stock, with those drums, if that made sense. You know, if you can flip through your patches, try to find something different, you should be good to go. And also with that piano, try experimenting with, you know, maybe an additional melody on top of it. It doesn't have to be super elaborate. You don't have to turn into, you know, Robert Glasper and go crazy with the piano. Just, you know, maybe even a little bit. Just one, I'm hearing like different articulation with the piano, like dun 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 dun. Just so it's not so kind of I want to say like a little predictable, or a little, just give it a little bit more life with a little articulation with the piano, just a little bit. And you can maybe even add an additional melody with the piano, maybe a bell, maybe a cool little synth that you have somewhere in your VST collection. That's going to kind of help break things up, so we can have more of a better texture of piano to go with those drums. And then on top of that, we'll have a little more articulation in the piano, so that way it kind of feels, kind of gives more human energy to it. And then also another melody on top of that. I think that'll kind of break things up in a way that's going to give more life to the beat. Hopefully that makes sense. But shout out to you. Shout out to you. Looks like we got another beat produced by Mexico. This one is called I Fall in Love Too Fast. Okay. Shout out to you. So we're going to go ahead and play this beat. I'm going to mute my mic and go ahead and give our feedback. So let's take a listen.
I fall in love too easily. I fall in love too fast. I fall in love too terribly hard for love to ever last. I fall in love too easily. I fall in love too fast. I fall in love too terribly hard for love to ever last. I fall in love too easily. I fall in love too fast. I fall in love too terribly hard for love to ever last. I fall in love too easily. I fall in love too fast. I fall in love too terribly hard for love to ever last. I fall in love too easily.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the second submission of the night produced by Mexico. I Fall in Love Too Fast. That was a creative beat, man. You know, I got a thing for samples in either boom bap drums or samples in trap drums. It's just a thing that I have about myself, that I'm partial to things like that. So of course I like the beat, but as far as feedback goes, one thing I was hearing in that beat is if you're wanting to have a recording artist jump on this beat, one thing you can do is you can actually low pass filter the sample. So just use the EQ to kind of cover the sample. So at certain parts you can break it down. So low pass filter the sample. You could just low pass filter the sample and just have it low passed. You can low pass filter the sample and then drop the sample down, like kind of you could drop it down an octave. Like if you listen to Family Feud by Jay-Z, produced by No ID, you'll notice that No ID does that. He'll have the pitch at the regular pitch, then he'll pitch it all the way down. So listen to Family Feud by Jay-Z and listen to how No ID kind of flip the sample by pitching it down to kind of break things up from being too repetitive. You could do that, or you can low pass filter the sample and just kind of add like a little, almost like a little pad to it, just to add and break it up a little bit. It wasn't too repetitive, but just kind of giving you little gems so you can possibly add some eye candy, some ear candy to this beat. If a recording artist brought this beat to me, we were recording a song to it, I would probably do it myself in Pro Tools and just do it that way. But if you could do it ahead of time, that can kind of help keep the vibe for the artist. So you don't want to get anything in the way between the artist and writing the song that they want to get off their chest, especially with a sample like this. I Fall in Love Easily. You know, we want that clear path, a clear highway for them to express themselves and write the full song. But shout out to you. Shout out to you, man. Appreciate you for setting the beat. And please, please continue to join me on the Heat Check. Desmond A here. So come to my YouTube channel, Desmond A Sounds. Of course, that's the YouTube channel. Sorry, guys, I'm kind of getting mixed up. Got the Heat Check, got the Made in the Studio podcast, trying to remember all the different names from all the different recordings I've been doing. So pardon me. All right. You are welcome. Shout out to Produced by Minty. Now, Minty, the free submissions are closed. However, if you look in the description, you have the option to purchase a VIP Skip the Line for $10. But if you want a free submission for next Sunday, just wait till the end of this broadcast. I'm going to make a post on my YouTube community section. Then you could submit for next Sunday's show. That's the free submission slot. So whatever you want to do, man, I am up for it. You are welcome, Produced by Mexico, for the feedback. Moving forward, we have DJ Bacon with Untitled Song. So we're going to go ahead and take a listen to this song by this beat by DJ Bacon and go ahead and give our feedback. So let's go ahead and take a listen. Ladies and gentlemen, that was DJ Bacon with Untitled. So, DJ Bacon, man, first of all, I love the energy. You know, I'm out here in Atlanta. We got these artists some of these artists want to get off some aggression in their music, you know, especially when you get to some of the different studios. You know, some of the artists just want to get some aggression off. And, you know, this particular beat has that energy. So shout out to you. Kind of getting that older Atlanta. I was feeling like Bone Crusher is whenever I was, you know, vibing out to the song. One thing that stood out for me is it sounds like there was a bass note. I think it was right around the turnaround. It sounded like it was clashing. It was either too low where the bass sounded dissonant and it's kind of clashing, or it's flat out just kind of smacking into the other bass note. I can't quite make it out too well, but it's something there is clashing on the turnaround when the boom, boom, boom. At that part, something is clashing there. So if I can get for you to fix that, you'll be good. You'll be good to go. Once again, I do like the energy of the song. If I can get for you to kind of watch the mix, let me see if I can open up here. As you can see here on the screen, the WAV file is just kind of a brick. So you might be hitting your master bus a little hard. So kind of watch that, so that way we can have all the instruments breathe, so things don't sound kind of mushy, if that makes sense. So you can even listen to, once again, one of my favorite suggestions is to listen to a song that sounds similar or beat that sounds similar, get some tips, put in your mental Rolodex, and then use it for your beat. As far as mix, how they're balancing things, pretty much that's it. But shout out to you. A lot of great energy, a lot of great aggression in that beat. Moving forward, we have DJ Bacon with the second submission of the night. This one is called Trap. So we're going to listen to this Trap beat by DJ Bacon and give our feedback. So let's go ahead and take a listen. That was a short and sweet one by DJ Bacon. That was called Trap. Now, that particular beat, DJ Bacon, a lot of energy. One thing I'm hearing, I think on your fader and your DAW, your instruments might be clipping in the red, like your individual instruments in the mixer might be hitting red. So if that's the case, kind of try to pull those back so that way all the sounds aren't distorted, and that way I'm hearing some digital distortion that's kind of making it hard for me to vibe into the beat. As I've been doing these feedback shows, I have been hearing a lot of distortion in beats. It sounds like you guys are trying to add additional edge to the beats, but it's sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. This is music, it's subjective, so I'm trying not to give absolutes. But watch the digital distortion, so that can kind of crumble some of the sounds, especially in the top end where it doesn't quite hit the way that you want it to hit. So just kind of watch your distortion. Also, that main thing was like some type of synth you had going on there. Kind of watch how loud that is. You might want to dial it back just a tad bit. So kind of watch your mix. Continue to make these aggressive beats, man. You definitely have a musical aesthetic going on, and you're gonna be able to put your fingerprint in the game as you go out there, since you do have this distinct style. So shout out to you, DJ Bacon, and I hope to see you again on the next Heat Check. Moving forward, we have Magician Beats. This one is called Monster. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna take a listen to this beat. I'm gonna go ahead and give my feedback. So let's listen to Monster by Magician Beats. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Monster by Magician Beats. Now, that was quite, man, that was a whole different vibe, man. Shout out to you, man. I was not expecting that beat to turn into that type of vibe. Definitely, you might even DJ. Am I right? Magician Beats, let me know either in the chat or in the comments if you watch the replay. Do you DJ? I can tell by your use of silence. You might do some DJing. But man, that beat was great. You know, great structure, great anticipation. Had a lot of space. I was singing here, thinking of hooks. I was, had like Burna Boy's voice in my head. So you have plenty of room for an artist to write a hook to this beat. As far as constructive feedback, man, I really don't have much. The only thing I'm thinking is it's like a third part. Whenever we was going through the beat, it sounds like you switched the bass patch to something different. I was still vibing out with it, but if you can try maybe keeping the bass sound consistent and just kind of vibe out with it, let me know. You make that call if it's easier for a songwriter to get on the beat with the main bass patch that you use. It's just when you switched it, it didn't quite flow as well as your main bass patch. You switched it, kind of threw me off just a taste bit, but overall, not being nitpicky, is just it threw me off just a taste bit because the energy and the vibe was so good. I could still write to it, but it just kind of threw me off just a taste. So kind of watch that, swap it out, try keeping the main patch consistent, and then see if you can still keep that same vibe. So shout out to you, Magician Beats. All right, in the chat, we got Lil Pimp Square, and we also have DMG. So shout out to you guys. Thank you for checking out the Heat Check. I am Desmond A. I'm a producer, and I'm also host of a podcast, as you can see at the top of the screen, Made in the Studio. Make sure you check that out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I'm interviewing producers and giving some great game. Now, moving forward, we have Magician Beats with another submission. This one is called You're My All. Let's go ahead and take a listen to this beat, and I'm going to go ahead and give my feedback. So let's take a listen. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the second submission by Magician Beats of tonight. That one was called You're My All. So shout out to Magician Beats for submitting that beat to the Heat Check. Now, for that particular beat, excuse me, gotta get my pen. For that particular beat, one thing I'm hearing, that kick isn't a bad kick. You could try maybe shelving off some of that hiss at the top of the kick, just using a shelf slope on your EQ, just to dial back the kind of the bite and that hiss of the kick. Or what I really suggest is try swapping that kick out with something else in your collection and just seeing if it feels better. Sometimes as producers, I'm guilty of it myself. We can kind of get comfortable with certain sounds that we just kind of go to. Don't be afraid, step out your comfort zone, find a different kick that you maybe wouldn't have usually chosen for this beat, and then see if it vibes better, see if it kind of creates a better feel, a better texture. Also, the bass patch in there, the bass patch was cool. It sounds like a bass guitar, some type of bass guitar VST that you're using. A part of me wants to say try using a real bass guitar. If that was a real bass guitar, let me know. But it sounds like a bass guitar patch, like maybe some type of bass guitar VST, possibly something from Contact, but it sounds like a bass guitar VST. If you can, try using a real bass player for that particular beat just to give it a little extra swing, kind of an extra, more of a human, more of a soulful, lively element on that beat. I think that'll help it out. Also, I noticed there was parts where you had that bass guitar sound and the some type of like that sub 808. It was working, but it felt like it was right on the borderline of actually clashing. So kind of be on the lookout for that. When it comes to those type of scenarios, you have to figure out which is going to be the winner. Is it going to be the sub bass, or is it going to be the bass guitar sound, the one that's more kind of closer to the mid range? Is that going to win, or is it going to be the low sub? Is that going to win? Or you could possibly, this might be doing too much, possibly doing a side chain, but kind of feel like that'd be doing too much. Or you can automate an EQ, might be doing too much. Another thing, you could try to flip the polarity. That also might be doing too much. I'm kind of getting a little bit too much into, mixing an actual song. But you can just try swapping out that bass guitar sound with the real one or another VST, and let me know if that fits a bit better. So that beat, good beat. I kind of feel like there was room for improvement as far as sound selection. I feel like if you just kind of take a little bit of time, go through your sounds, kind of swap out a couple of things, it's going to tighten everything up and create that picture that I can tell that you're aiming for. So shout out to you, Magician Beats. Thank you for submitting to the Heat Check. Please continue to submit. I'll be glad to provide you feedback on your music production journey. Moving forward, we have Mac Deep with Mantra. So ladies and gentlemen, we're going to listen to Mantra by Mac Deep. I'm going to go ahead and give my feedback. I'm going to mute my mic and let's take a listen to this beat, family. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mantra by Mac Deep. Now, Mac Deep, I kind of felt, especially at the end there, that okay. So let me start from the top. First of all, good beat, good. It's like a good skeleton to me. It kind of feels like this. Kind of feels like something. If I were in the studio with a songwriter and then they just was kind of singing lyrics, feels like something I would lay down as like starting as the skeleton. Particularly that drum beat and then those electric piano chords. The electric piano chords, especially that last note that you played on your keyboard, it sounds like the timing was off, and it also sounds like the timing of those that pad sound that you had was off too. So I don't know, maybe in the export process, if things kind of slipped around, which happens. It happens. It happens to the best of us. Sometimes things slip. Sometimes things don't quite line things up when you're exporting. So, you know, next time if you can, whenever you're setting out a beat, you know, try to listen to the exported sounds, because sometimes there could be like a setting in your DAW that's kind of throwing things off. So kind of look out for that. But particularly that electric piano felt so good that I wanted things to be timed properly. So if I can get you to fix that, and then the timing of the those pad sounds that you had was off as well. So if I can get you to fix those things, we're gonna be on the right track. Also in my head, I was really vibing out to that beat. Like I mentioned, um, the timing was off at certain places, but I was really hearing like stabby strings, like ba ba ba. Just kind of give you some extra, you know, if we were collabing on a beat, what I would add to it. So if you could add some like kind of staccato strings that really hit, I think that kind of take things to the next level. So keep working at it. I really feel like you should get in with a songwriter. So if you have a songwriter in your area, or if you have a songwriter you can reach out to online, that's definitely gonna help you out in the creative process. So shout out to you, Mac Deep. That was Mantra by Mac Deep. Continue to submit to the heat check. All right. Let's take a look at chat here. Let's say inside out of my head is when I try to create and do the opposite what people still incorporate. Let's put into track based instruments. Share the vocals with this. Okay. Oh, DMG, that's you. Shout out to you, DMG. You were our first submissions here. So shout out to you, DMG. I didn't have you at the top of the screen in my FL Studio. I pulled down. So shout out to you, DMG. Let's give a little set one minute when I try to do so what I've heard other people do. Still incorporates the rules, but each of the developments are put in track effect the instrument, including the drums where they literally flow. Shout out their vocals. We'll do the same when I add them in. Okay, so shout out to you, DMG. Still, that thing about trying to do the opposite of what you heard other people do, I feel where you're coming from, and I hear that a lot from producers. Still try to get little bits, even if there's little bits of people who are on a higher level that you aspire to be like. It could be the drum swing of this producer. It could be the sound selection of this producer. It could be the chord progressions of that producer. So even if there's little bits, even if they're older producers in the past, you can still get those bits and pieces, put it together, and then help to polish your own sound so you can develop and shape your own sound so you have a path on where you want to actually get to. Because without a path, it's easy to chase your tail in music production, especially if you don't have an artist with you. So please try to have a recording artist with you if you're kind of developing your sound on your own. But we still have production legends that we still like. So still take little bits and pieces. And if you want to create your own unique sound, that's fine. But there's still pieces we can take along with us in the journey. But shout out to you and thank you so much for submitting to the heat check. Now, moving forward, we have Mac Deep with the second submission of the night. This one is called Deep Escape. So we're going to listen to Deep Escape by Mac Deep. I'm gonna go ahead and give the feedback. You are welcome. You're welcome, DMG. All right, so let's take a listen to Mac Deep. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, that was Mac Deep with the second submission of tonight, with his second submission of tonight called Deep Escape. Now, Mac Deep, what I hear from your production so far is it's like I'm hearing a good skeleton and a good framework. And then as the beat starts to progress, there's different elements kind of, it's almost like it takes away from what you had in the beginning instead of adding to it. Like those chords that you have in there, it felt like it was offbeat as well. And then the bass that you added felt like it started to get too dissonant. It's like it's almost something going on there. And then you had that what you call it, Amapiano, probably pronouncing it wrong. You had that, or it's kind of like that grime Amapiano bass sound. It's like I was kind of looking for a focus in the beat. You have good beginning parts to your beats. Like you have a good skeleton, but it's like as you add elements, things start to lose focus and take away. So what I want you to do, this is what I want you to do, Mac Deep. Try finding an acapella, or try even singing out loud to yourself, mumbling if you have to, and try to get a vocal on the beat so you can kind of have a better idea of having a direction in the production. It sounds like you know that you can add different sounds, but I kind of want you to reel it in, focus, and tighten things up. So, you know, I hear a lot of potential. It's just like things start to move me around. It's almost like watching a movie and then I'm kind of getting pulled away to this side character, and then this character takes me here and that character takes me here. But I like the cinematography and I like the intro of the movie, but I get pulled away. So if I can get you kind of tighten up the focus of your beats and also your sound selection and your timing, I think you'll be good to go. So shout out to you, Mac Deep. Thanks for submitting, and I hope to see you again on the Heat Check. All righty. And ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, please check out DesmondASounds.com. I have free FL Studio Patcher plugins. I have free guides on Pro Tools, have loops, have a lot of free stuff for you guys. So check out DesmondASounds.com to get a bunch of free stuff for your production. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have Tafara. We have Tafara in the building. Looks like he is in the chat. And he also has his submission here for tonight. Got two submissions. So, first submission, we have Kaspa Gotist. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but I tried my best. So, I'm going to go ahead and mute my mic, and we're going to go ahead and listen to this beat by Tafara. So, let's listen together, family. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the first submission of tonight by Tafara. It's called Caspa Gotist. Now, that particular beat, of course, had great energy. Kind of felt like I was, in the middle of a party and, Miami, somewhere like that. Lots of good energy. Was definitely could paint a picture in the mind, and that's a great way to have your production. One thing I was hearing with this production, with this music, it's like, let me see here. We can open this up just a little bit. And I can see here, you guys can see here, like when I take a look, even if just listening, it felt like everything was loud at once. So if I can get for you to just kind of listen to, how do I say it? Because the musicality is there. It's just something in the mix. Like, in order for something to feel loud, there needs to be something to feel quieter. In order for something to feel aggressive, something needs to be a little bit softer. So there needs to be a bit of contrast things going on. This, I kind of felt like everything was loud and hitting me at once, and there wasn't really much breathing room, if that makes sense. It's definitely gonna jam in the studio. But my thing is, whenever an artist is really kind of writing to it with headphones on, or kind of just vibing out to it, it may be a bit difficult. So if I can get you to kind of watch the mix a little bit more, it's just loud and hitting me, which is cool when we're vibing out as producers, but with the artists, especially when it's time to do the final song, kind of need to watch that. So if I can get for you to even on YouTube, maybe find like a producer, a final mixed version of popular song that's out there that you like, and then just kind of listen to how the engineer has certain things panned, how certain things are quiet, how certain things are small in order for something else to be wide, if that makes sense. Can you please just play? Oh, my mistake. I just saw the chat, Tafara. My mistake. I played a bit longer. But yeah. In the future, if you have any special requests, please feel free to reply to the confirmation email that I send after you make your submissions, so that way I'll have it ahead of time before the show starts. So whenever you submit a beat to the Heat Check, I send a confirmation email. Any special requests, anything like that, please reply, so that way I'll know ahead of time. But shout out to you, Tafara. Shout out to that beat. Lots of energy. If we can just kind of soften things up, make things louder, kind of try to find contrast in the mix, if that makes sense. So moving forward, we have the second beat of the night by Tafara. This one is called Rest. So we're going to listen to this beat, Rest, and we are going to be good to go. And I'm going to go ahead and give our feedback. Let's go ahead and take a listen to... Now, Tafara, did you mean that you only wanted me to play 20 seconds of Rest, or did you mean want me to play 20 seconds of Caspa Gotist? Because I wasn't looking at the chat, so let me know which one. Let me know if you want me to play the 1.5 minutes of Rest. So let me know. As we do that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to do a brief announcement here. If you didn't know, I have a podcast. You can see it at the top of the screen, Made in the Studio podcast. Just had an interview with a very talented producer named Tavares Jordan. Tavares Jordan, he did the hit single by Summer Walker called Heart of a Woman. In that interview, Tavares drops lots of gems on his journey, posting beats on YouTube, having perseverance. He's getting older. He still kept going, still kept persevering, and eventually he got a hit single by the recording artist Summer Walker. So you make sure you check that out. Once again, that's on all platforms, Made in the Studio, and you can also take a look at my YouTube channel. Here, you'll see the section for podcast, and you'll see the episode with Tavares Jordan. Have a lot of great episodes coming up, man. Interviewed one of my favorite producers this past week, man. Lots of gems. So just getting all the game, getting all the information for you guys. So shout out to y'all. It's very rewarding to do this podcast. So all right. It looks like Tafara, I don't know if he's still here, but I'm gonna go ahead and play the minute and a half of rest and gonna go ahead and give my feedback. So we're gonna go ahead and take a listen and give my feedback. So let's listen together, family. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Rest by Tafara. So Tafara kind of showed off his guitar skills right there at the close to the middle of that instrumental there. I can tell some good guitar playing when I hear it, man. So shout out to you, Tafara. Now, Tafara, for this particular beat, great instrumentation. I could tell you're more than likely a musician. Like you play, I want to say I can tell you play more than one instrument. So let me know if I'm right or wrong on that. For this particular beat, good instrumentation. This kind of felt like the kick and bass. We kind of needed to get things a little more balanced, get things a little more cohesive to kind of fit the rest of the music. And really, this beat had that breathing room that I want. It's like the instruments didn't feel like tight and kind of fighting for space, if that makes sense. Just kind of have the softness and the breathing room that I look for. Play 20 seconds more, guys. Now Tafara, I gotta have stopping points, man. So, if you want me to play a little more of your beat, maybe try cutting off the intro just particularly for these submissions, just because if I skip around, I might get some angry emails from producers saying, hey, why didn't you skip around for my beat? If I keep doing it for one person, I'm going to have people, kind of coming back at me later. So if I give you just for the feedback show, the heat check, kind of cut the intros so we can get to the sweet spot of the beats that you really want us to hear. So if I get for you to do that, that'll definitely be appreciated. And Tafara, go ahead and please shout yourself out. Shout out your website, your Instagram. It looks like someone here is feeling your beats, man. All the producers in this chat, in the live stream, please feel free to shout yourself out. This is not about me. This is about us. This is about the community and helping it grow. You never know who's watching. You know, it could be someone who just wants to listen to your instrumentals. It could be a recording artist. It could be another producer who wants to collaborate with you. So please feel free to, in the chat, in the live stream chat, shout yourself out, shout out your Instagram, shout out your website. Also, if you're watching the playback, please shout yourself out, Instagram, everything in the comments. We are here to grow as a community. So, shout out to you, Tafara. Please feel free to continue to submit. Get those intros shorter so I can hit those sweet spots that you want everyone to hear. And I continue to play your music here on the Heat Check. So, moving forward, we have Zenobia Sounds. Zenobia Sounds has this beat called Dream. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to listen to Dream by Zenobia. Going to go ahead and give my feedback. So, let's go ahead and take a listen. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Dream by Zenobia Sounds. And shout out to Swampy Wilkinson in the chat. Looks like Swampy Wilkinson is a fan of the beat submissions that have been coming in. So, producers, once again, shout yourselves out. Because not just producers who listen to beats. Some people like to listen to beats just as they're going through their day, just to vibe out. So, Zenobia Sounds, Dream. So, for that particular beat, I kind of want you to try to, it's like I want things to get tightened up. You know, that I want you to try a new bass for that beat. I also want you to try to balance your sounds a bit more. It kind of felt like certain sounds were a little too loud. The drums were kind of tucked away. And it was kind of hard to find a cohesive blend and a cohesive balance in the beat. So try to find a focus with balancing your sounds out. Once again, this is something I keep recommending, and it's for a reason. You know, if you do have a producer out there, whether it's a YouTube type beat producer, whether it's a bigger producer, if you can find an instrumental that doesn't have a vocal on it, it's going to be much better to kind of help guide you to figuring out how to balance sounds in a beat. So that way things kind of flow together in a more cohesive, smoother manner, so things don't kind of feel a little bit out of whack. So watch that. Find a couple reference beats to help you balance things out. Sometimes, and I want you to keep making beats. Keep making beats, keep going at it, keep shooting your shots, keep developing your sounds little by little. Because sometimes it can get to a point where you really can't tell what's what at certain stages of production. So I want you to keep making beats. Use the tip I gave you as far as listening to other beats to help you balance, and that's going to help set you on the right path. So, and it's going to help you with sound selection as well. So, all right, all right, all right. Shout out to Zenobia Sounds for that. All right, and shout out to Tafara. Tafara is in the chat. Looks like Tafara is going to continue to submit to the heat check. Definitely appreciate it. Very talented musician. All right, moving forward, we have Medicine by Zenobia Sounds. Second submission by Zenobia Sounds of tonight. So we're going to go ahead and take a listen and give my feedback. So let's go ahead and listen. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the second submission by Zenobia Sounds for tonight. That one was called Medicine. Shout out to Zenobia Sounds. Please continue to submit for the heat check. Now, that beat, one thing that really jumped out to me is that bass. If I can get for you, I keep giving the same advice, so excuse me guys if I repeat myself, but for that bass sound, if I can get for you to, it just sounds like there's certain points where it was at a key, and so pitch it up an octave, and if you can't really hear things are clashing or sound good, pitch it up another octave, listen to things that's clashing or sound good, then pull it back down an octave, and then make sure everything flows together. Once again, it's easier for the human ear to hear things that are higher pitch as opposed to lower pitch, so that could be influencing the challenge of getting the bass in key. And this is actually an issue that I had at the beginning of my production journey as well. So you're not alone. It's something a lot of us go through. And I played the violin and trumpet as a kid, so you know it kind of goes back to those lower pitch sounds being hard to listen to, because I could play my other instruments in key, but bass was hard for me to hear, so it was hard for me to select. So you're not alone. Just use that tip to try to get your bass right. Other than that, it just kind of felt like I'm getting an idea of your sound. I'm getting an idea of the texture, your musical aesthetic that you're going for. And that's good that you have a fingerprint as a producer, because once again, it's going to help you be in demand by having your own sound. But I want you to continue to develop, continue to make beats, continue to listen to beats of producers that are on a higher level to you. Get tips from those people by just listening on how they're selecting sounds and putting things in the mix, and just keep going. I just want you to keep your repetitions going, keep making beats, keep getting feedback, collaborate with other producers. If you haven't done that, reach out to other producers, because whenever I've collabed, man, I've always learned something new. So try that and you're going to be all good to go. All right, all right, all right. Moving forward, we have Aki Tak Uzu with South Memphis Finest. All right, Aki Tak Uzu, South Memphis Finest. We're going to go ahead and take a listen and give our feedback. All right, so let's take a listen together.
It's that Memphis.
And gentlemen, that was Aki Tak Uzu with South Memphis Finest. Now, Aki Tak, that beat, I like the drums. I like the edge. I like the crunch of the drums. You really paint the picture. You had that South Memphis aesthetic to the music. One thing that was really jumping out to me in that beat was that piano sound. That piano sound mixed with that synth sound was giving me some dissonance, and it was really throwing me off. It was the music of it was clashing in a way. Sometimes clashing, especially in hip hop, can create a kind of a it can create something pretty and it can be wrong in the right way. But in this particular instance, it didn't really add anything with the fact that there was the clashing musicality between the piano sound and that synth loop that you had going on. It threw me off. It made it hard for me to even come up with any type of lyrics or hook to that particular beat. If I could possibly get for you to maybe try different instruments, like don't I know as producers we can make so many different beats, we just want to move on to the next one, but don't, keep the drums and just experiment with different music. You know what I mean? Maybe it's going to be a different synth. The synth was starting to get repetitive as well as the beat went on. So if I give you just experiment, keep the drums, try different sounds, and see if you can pull something else out from the energy of those gritty drums. So shout out to you, Aki Tak Uzu. And we have the final beat of the night. This is going to be by Aki Tak Uzu. Ladies and gentlemen, please do not go anywhere because I still got more information to give you after we listen to the final beat. All right, this one is called... Man, you got these names, Aki Tak. This one is called... I'm not even going to say it. I'm going to call this one OL. This beat is OL by Aki Tak Uzu. So shout out to you, Aki Tak. We're going to listen to this beat and go ahead and give a feedback.
It's that Memphis.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Akitak Uzu with OL, something lament, somebody's lament. So apologies for not being able to pronounce it. So let's get to the beat itself. Now, that beat itself, man, when the beat hit, it had a lot of energy, man, with the sample and the drums, with the crunch to it. Has so much potential, man. But as the beat started going on, I felt like you were experimenting by adding stuff to it. It took me out the vibe, man. As soon as that beat hit, it was right on point. You added sounds to it, and then it felt like we flipped and went to a whole different kind of ambient, ethereal vibe with the instrumentation, which kind of switched the whole energy of the beat. If this is going to be for a recording artist, we definitely want to kind of have more of a direction on what we want this beat to be like. Because if it continues to change the way it was going, it's kind of hard to catch a certain vibe. It started with kind of a 3-6 Mafia type of vibe, and then we went to something totally different, and it didn't switch and transition in a way that was conducive to creating an entire vibe. It just kind of switched. So if I can get you to watch adding too many elements to a beat, sometimes as the producers, we like to kind of either flex on other producers or flex on ourselves, since a lot of us are cooking up in our bedrooms or in our studios by ourselves. If I can get for you to try freestyling as you're cooking up beats, like before you bounce things down, freestyle to yourself or even mumble or get an acapella. And that's also going to help you to mute certain sounds, take certain things out the way, and not add too much and start to throw off the vibe. Because once again, when it hit, it was right and exact, but then we kind of veered off and went into a different direction. But I really like your drum selection, like the drum bounce, but let's kind of tighten up and focus on exactly where we're trying to go. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, got AK in the chat. I don't know if that's Akitak. Is that you, Akitak? I just see Akitak Uzu may be in the chat. I don't know if that's you. It just says AK. You know, this could be another producer showing love, but I think that is Akitak. So if that is you, Akitak, shout out to you and shout out to you. And thank you so much for submitting your beats to the Heat Check. Now, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for submitting to the Heat Check. I enjoyed providing feedback to all the talented, wonderful music producers. I'm just here to give back from my experience, to give back even more. Of course, we have the Made in the Studio podcast, and I just got done interviewing two-time Grammy-nominated producer this past week, and I also got done interviewing another producer who plays on, he's just around studio to studio, co-producing and producing and playing keys on everything. So Got 2 interviews coming up on the Made in the Studio podcast, man. Tons of gems. So, when I'm not doing this, a lot of times I'm doing a lot of editing, a lot of scheduling to keep the podcast going. So, guys, please subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or right here on YouTube. You'll see the Made in the Studio podcast. Just dropped the episode. Me and Tavares Jordan, producer of the hit single by Summer Walker, Heart of a Woman. Soon, either next week, it's going to be the week after this one, I have a interview dropping by a producer and loop maker who has a very interesting story about how he found out his loop got placed with Lil Wayne. Crazy story, man, and you're not going to want to miss out because all the mistakes he made, all the lessons he learned in the process of his loop magically popping up is going to help a lot of you guys in the process of music production. You guys are sending out loops, getting placements that way. So I made sure to dig in and dive deep and get all the information I could. So be on the lookout for that. And I am currently working on getting more producers for the Made in the Studio podcast. So I just want to let that information out there, man. Let you guys know that I am following through with the podcast. It's not easy. It's harder than I thought, but just getting all the good game and good information from these producers who are out there in the trenches, getting all the lessons so you guys don't make the same mistakes that they made or I've made. Because a lot of times when I'm talking to these producers, we agree on so many different things because we see eye to eye. So we've gone through a lot of different things together. So, that's what I've been up to, man. Continuing to grind for you guys. So, in order for the heat check to continue, this live beat review show, you're gonna need to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. If I don't know if you guys are getting value, if you guys don't continue to submit and it doesn't continue to grow, I won't know you're getting value. So please tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to submit beats to the heat check. Also subscribe to my YouTube channel. You get great tips and tricks. And also we have the Made in the Studio podcast where I'm getting all the good game. So Stink man, why are you doing it now? Get it? Shout out to you, AK, in the chat. But, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you go to DesmondASounds.com to get free loops, free FL Studio Patcher plugins. Also, please check out my Discord. Lots of good game. Got some real crazy loop makers in my Discord. I got a channel called Your Loops. Man, those loop makers in my Discord are insane. So, go get some loops. Check out the description. Subscribe to my Discord. Get some good stuff, man. I'm just a vessel of value, just giving you guys a whole bunch of free stuff, man. So I hope you enjoyed the heat check. Producers, please continue to submit. If you didn't submit for this heat check, give me 5 minutes after this closes, and you're going to see a YouTube community post letting you guys know that you can submit for next week. So the free submissions are going to open, let's say 5 to 7 minutes after this live stream closes, and submit early. First come, first serve. So submit tonight so you guys don't get left out. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am Desmond A. Once again, this was a great heat check show. Please subscribe, and I'll see you next Sunday. I am gone. Peace.